Hello and welcome to this special edition of Media Week, coming to you from the 2015 Astra Conference in Sydney. I'm Dan Murphy, and joining us is Media Week editor and publisher, James Manning. James.
Hi Dan, it's good to be here at the conference.
It's all about innovation and it's all about thinking outside the box. We've been speaking with a number of executives today about the challenges facing the landscape.
Yeah, look, it's a pretty big sector. Astra always release their annual figures, how much is invested in the sector. It's grown up to around about $800 million now, over 8,000 people employed, so it's a reasonably big media concern.
Hernan Lopez is the president and CEO of Fox International Channels. He operates around 350 different channels in about 180 different countries. We spoke to him earlier. Well, Hernan, thanks for your time on Media Week and welcome to Australia. What have you taken from the conference so far?
I gave a presentation this morning to the panel talking about the golden age of television, how we have so much more quantity and quality in television today at any time in history. The number of shows being produced in the US and around the world has multiplied, and the quality of it is driven by more content creators coming to television. That is also driving more companies coming to television to look for that proverbial pot of gold in the golden age of TV.
Hernan, you talked about all the challenges that are out there, and you said there's lots of opportunity, but you were very careful to say, look, there's not one silver bullet. You have to cover a lot of bases.
Correct. Everybody wants to know what's the magic formula. Everybody wants to believe that content is king. So long as you have the great content, you'll be fine. Some people believe so long as you have distribution, you'll be fine. And no one single silver bullet is enough. You need a combination of content, brand, distribution, and user experience. The last one is not as often talked about in the context of television because it's a concept that comes from the world of design companies and technology companies. But increasingly, as consumers need to navigate between different options, they need to have a user experience that satisfies what they want. One example is what we do at Fox International Channels, bringing worldwide day and date launch of television shows like The Walking Dead. We were the first company to do that 6 years ago, and now we're launching the show here in Australia in the middle of Monday because it's the same time that it happens in the US.
And it's really interesting as well. You said that compelling content is king, but the brand is the castle. Can you just elaborate on what you mean by that?
Of course. The king is somebody that will always be around for a while, but even the strongest of the kings at some point will be gone. Yet the castle, if you build the castle right, the castle can be around forever, can be around for generations. Clearly, a brand without content is like an empty vessel, like a castle without a king. But there is a lot of value in having these great castles, these great brands that consumers can relate to because they provide them shortcuts through which they know which content is available and what content is expected to give them good quality.
You talked about The Walking Dead. Tell us some of your other key brands and their feature properties, if you like.
This year we launched Wayward Pines. Actually, it was the first time that a show launched here in Australia before anyone else because it was worldwide on May 14th. And that's a great example of a movie director and producer, M. Night Shyamalan, coming to television because he was attracted to the medium. It was a 10-part miniseries, and he convinced 4 Academy Award nominees, Matt Dillon, Juliette Lewis, Melissa Leo, and Terrence Howard, to come and create this great show. It was the highest rated new scripted series in the US and was a huge hit in Australia and many countries around the world.
And the real focus of the conference today is disruption as well. I'm just wondering, how are you competing in the world of Netflix and other new entrants into the market? Are you concerned by that disruption, that wave of disruption, or do you see it as an opportunity?
I'm energized by it because obviously Netflix has been very successful in many places around the world at creating a very clear consumer proposition and showing that there's a segment of consumers that would happily wait for a year to watch their show so long as they can watch it all at once and with advertising. And that's a consumer demand that we're responding to. We know that the first time that viewers will watch The Walking Dead will always be on the Fox channel. That's something, or the FX channel here in Australia, that's something that they'll always remember. But we also need to be in a position where we make consumers happier when they want to see shows on their tablets and their desktops without advertising or with less advertising and all at once.
Some people say Netflix have found their silver bullet in that their original content. But I guess you've been doing that for a long time, haven't you? But does it make rights very critical these days, and tying up a good property to make sure you really own it everywhere?
We are getting increasingly into the world of direct content ownership. Our next show is Outcast, produced by Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead. We're doing it in conjunction with a US cable network. And of course, it's everybody wants to have the most successful show, and everybody wants to have the next hit. But when 400 television shows are being made in the US alone, scripted, it's increasingly more difficult to cut through the clutter. So for a platform like Fox that is available in 126 countries in more than 350 million homes all around the world, the ability to launch that single show day and date worldwide and create it in one hit into a single global cultural event is something important. It's something that is very hard for any other company to replicate.
And you sound very upbeat about the prospects for the global media landscape. I know you've been in Australia for just a short time, but
right.
When you hear and you cast your eye across the Australian media landscape, what's your view on how things are tracking, and what do you see the future holding for Australian media?
I see a great future for the paid television industry. Obviously, we have a great partner in Foxtel and great friends over there, and we've seen what they've done in the last 6 months with the introduction of the new packaging and pricing, and that's surely going to spur growth and has already spurred a lot of growth in the paid television ecosystem. I'm not as aware of the free television marketplace over there, but I do know that worldwide there's the single best medium to get people to change their minds and to create emotions is television. So television will be with us for stay. So long as the owners of the television networks can get the message across to the advertisers, television will be fine.
How many markets is Fox International Channels in, and is Australia sort of a key player in that global picture?
We are in 170 markets, mostly with the National Geographic Channel. Fox is our second most distributed in 126 countries, and Australia is within our top 15 markets.
Yeah. Are there any new brands on the horizon that you look to introduce that maybe cater to market segments you're not looking after at the moment? We are most concerned or focused on launching the brands that we have on a worldwide basis. So Fox is our biggest entertainment brand. FX is our second brand. Obviously here in Australia, our company had licensed the Fox brand already to Foxtel. That's why FX is our core brand. But National Geographic, Fox Sports, and the Star Chinese channels are the key brands that we have. One of the things that we are doing in Latin America very successfully is entering the premium television marketplace. We had over there a partnership that marketed movie channels similar to the movie channels here in Australia. But over the last few years, we retooled that business to bring it closer to day and date television series, and we rebranded it as Fox Plus. So it's a key part of our growth plan. We also had the opportunity to speak with Mike Gunton from the Factual and Natural History Unit at the BBC.
And a real focus on how technology is changing the game.
That's right. I even got to ask him about drones. Mike, we're at the Astra conference. The theme is thinking outside of the box. What's happening in innovation in your sort of documentary field?
Well, it's all about innovation. I mean, that's really our lifeblood, and that's really my job. We're trying to always find new ways of bringing the natural world to an audience. I work in natural history, and so trying to find narrative ways and use technology to bring those new narratives to audiences so they see things they've never seen before. Yeah.
I guess the subjects remain the same, but you're telling the story in a different way.
Bit of both. I mean, we're always looking for new subjects, of course, but sometimes you can tell stories about animals you think you know, but turn the story on its head or take a different perspective, and that's where the technology comes in.
Yeah, Kyle, I guess that's particularly important because there's certain animals that are favourites for viewers, aren't they? And you've got to update them, maybe nearly annually, some of them, but you need to innovate and...
There are box office animals, no question, that people love to see. They love to see lions, tigers, killer whales,
sharks.
So, yeah, sharks. We're just doing a show about sharks actually, and we're always trying to find a new angle on them, and that's both literally a story angle, but also a visual angle. Sometimes the technology can almost pierce the veil. You know, you think you've seen it one way, but the new technology can almost see beyond the human eye, so you get to see things that perhaps you wouldn't expect to see.
And where's the technology at? for a while it was all about HD. Now people talk about 4K. So what, you filming everything in 4K these days?
Yeah, we tend to call it ultra high definition, just because it's sometimes 4K, 5K, even 8K. Yeah, that's the next breakthrough. It's not going to probably as big a breakthrough as HD, but there are certain creative advantages in HD. Of course, you see things in more detail, and natural history is beautiful, and it looks even more beautiful in ultra high definition. But I think one of the things that it's been really interesting in is underwater, because it's somehow, I don't know quite how the technology works, but it allows the underwater world to seem almost like you're filming in air. So the shark series we just made, for example, people almost thought it was CG because the sharks look so beautiful and so clean and clear. And of course you see the behaviour, but also you see how beautiful the animals are.
You can't turn on a program these days, almost news, documentary and dramas, without drones being used. It's sometimes to great effect. Sometimes you do think perhaps they're being overused a little bit. How long have you guys been working with that?
Well, a while. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was doing a talk about innovation, and that was the big story, that we were starting to use drones. We use them a lot now. They're not the answer to everything. I mean, they can give you a perspective that other cameras can't give. But animals, of course, they're not very keen on things buzzing around their ears, so we have to find the right situation to use it. What it's really good for is being able to take landscape shots. So, sometimes if you want to reveal a glacier or some waterfall, the context in which the animals live, drones are fantastic for that, because it does means you don't have to bring a helicopter in.
Yeah, so these are drones, GoPros, so you have an arsenal of cameras.
Yeah, I mean, we do use GoPros. We tend, I mean, GoPros are fantastic, but because of we're so high end, we tend to try and always use the higher definition cameras. But there are some shots you just can't get without using something like a GoPro. Yeah. Are
there parts of the world that are yet almost unconquered, or have you really been everywhere and done everything, do you think?
Well, we've been a lot of places. The deep ocean is still an incredibly unexplored place, and a lot of the really interesting stories in nature are from the ocean. There's a new wave of exploration going on there. The poles are still quite hard to explore. One of my most enjoyable and exciting trips ever was to Antarctica, because you just realise, people do not go there. This is, almost everywhere you go, no man has ever trod. So that's exciting. It is places, it's places where humans find it hard to get to. Mountain tops, deep forests. There are still remarkable stories to be told and found out in those places.
You're watching a special edition of Media Week from the Astra Conference in Sydney.
Time for a quick break. When we come back, hear from executives at Viacom and Turner Broadcasting. Stay with us.